Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to the breakdown on match day. There we go, no less. This is Cardiff City World. If you're not a subscriber, make sure you subscribe. Cardiff City content, 7 days a week by fans, for fans. And what an interesting game. Some would say, if you used cliches, a game of two halves. But actually, first and foremost, I thought Cardiff City deserved to win a football match. And I thought the referee ruined the game with a ridiculous red card. And Cardiff had a funny 60 seconds straight after half-time. Just really bizarre. But let's talk about it. There's lots to discuss. We'll get into all of it, essentially. And we'll kind of go from there, because I think there is a lot to talk about. And I think there's loads and loads of positives. But there is some underlying issues, I think, still with certain things, whether it's certain decisions, tactical, whatever. Nothing too negative, I don't think, but we'd like to discuss it all. Let's start with the referee. I thought he was pretty poor all game. Early on, Keane Ashford got yanked back by their left back 2 or 3 times, sort of off the ball almost, and they just kept letting it go and go. Just didn't want to seem to give a booking or many bookings. Obviously, that was the first ref, and then the second ref comes in. That second ref, I believe, has never refereed over, I think it was League One. And I thought it showed. I thought he was really poor. And the red card is just such a nothing challenge. And incidentally, he sent Callum Robinson off for that, which is never a red card, and it completely changes the game and changes everything about it. Because before that, even after they'd scored, you kind of still fancied us to go on and win it, because we were so dominant in that first half, and Coventry were just so poor all game. So I kind of think with 11 versus 11, we really would have just gone on and comfortably won. I think. So from the refereeing point of view, I just thought he was really poor. And then later on in the second half, I think it was Alex Robertson, Tanner, gets kind of flattened during a header. And it's not that dissimilar, in terms of the contact and stuff. It's straight arm. Very poor, very poor. But it just changes the game. And it goes from a game where, if we'd had 11 men and we'd come away with a draw, I think we'd have been rightly disappointed, because we were the better team, even with, we had the best chances throughout the game. There was a couple which Coventry had, but we've had some real clear-cut chances in the first half. We should have been at least 2-0 up, if not 3. And then the second half, that Tanner one is the one. He should have taken it in and just slotted it past the keeper. He gets a good shot off, but that keeper must have been so pleased to be able to see it for that long from the edge of the box. So that was a bit of a shame. And it just changes the game, doesn't it? With 10 men, you're kind of clinging on a bit for the point, maybe hoping for just a chance. But I don't know. I just felt like Coventry were there. I thought Coventry was so bad that if we'd been a little bit more creative in our thinking and a bit more aggressive in our thoughts and really tried to go at them on the break in the second half, maybe we could have pinched them in, because they kept giving the ball away in their own third. They were, really poor, really sluggish in their passing. And whenever we did press them, we kind of won the ball back, and we were winning those second balls, even with 10 men. But obviously, look, the most encouraging thing, I think, is that in both halves, every single player gave their all. I don't think it was a case of the other day where where every player was excellent. I thought there was a few who were a bit below the standard. On Rhys, I think one of my criticisms previously of him was when we played 3 games in sort of under a week, 3 games really close together, with the third game being West Brom. From about halfway through the second game, the players looked a bit leggy, and then we turned up on West Brom, and he picked the same 11 for all 3 games, I think, pretty much. And we looked leggy in that West Brom game and we never really got going. And I worry a little bit. Obviously, Callum Robinson is probably going to be out unless I guess the risk is if you appeal it and they don't overturn it, he gets a 3-game ban and he's out of the Swansea game. But you kind of got to go with where you got to go. I thought Callum Chambers was excellent again. And whilst I do feel long-term, we need someone in there with a bit more energy and pace and aggression, maybe a bit younger. I think he's doing a real good job and he looks so much better in defensive midfield. Even today, when he went back into defence, he did all right, but he looked better in the middle of midfield. And he's helping to get the best out of Siopis, which I think is also obviously benefiting the side. Let's think, like a couple of negatives for me. I thought Darland was really good. He just fell apart. Like, he misjudged the bounce for the goal and gets the wrong side of him. And then he's probably not strong enough. But he wasn't the only one. I think it was Gutas went out wide, and there was a couple out of position. We just got caught, like, really sleeping at the first minute of the second half. Out of position, sleeping, and it's like a sloppy goal, isn't it? And then after the sending off, we just couldn't keep hold of the ball. And that was what was frustrating me. And I just saw Andrews just said we didn't miss Colwell there. I disagree. I thought we could have done with him in the second half because we just needed someone to hold on to the ball. I thought he could have got Matty on a bit earlier just to give us something. I thought Keane looked a bit tired today. Obviously, he hasn't played a lot of football, not used to playing week in, week out. Not that he did anything wrong, just a couple of heavy touches and stuff is usually a sign of tiredness. Who else was good? Gutas was incredible. Like, I thought he was a little bit out of position for the goal, but like nothing massive. Like, he was just excellent. Alnwick was better. Callum O'Dowda, man, what a season he's having. In amongst the shite that has been our season, he has been a real standout performer. Easily the player of the season, should be the captain in my eyes as well. I think his attitude, his work rate, the way he conducts himself, the way he behaves to fans, when their things have gone wrong and the fans are pissed off, whether it's that or before the games, after the games, just exemplary. And I think he is such a credit to himself and the football club in every way. He is, out of the 13 that are out of contract, he is the one that I am like 100% sold on. Give him a contract. The others, I can kind of make an argument for and against. So that's kind of interesting. I thought Perry looked rusty, mate, which is like, you understand, that's to be expected. He hasn't played for a few weeks, out with a rhythm, but I thought he looked rusty. And I understand the decision to bring him on because he's, at his best, he's a very good player. But I do think that maybe he could have put Bagan on instead of Perry, just in the situation we were in. Joel Bagan's a bit more in the flow of things. I thought Willock wasn't as good today, which is a bit gutting because the one thing he does do really well, which is he creates a lot of space for Callum O'Dowda to drive into. And let's start there. Another early goal. And one of the things I've been screaming out for all season is for us to start fast. And in my preview, I said, we have to press and start fast. We have to press like we pressed against Watford, where you're rushing them and you're making them give away the ball. Do that early to really put them under pressure. And what a header by Keane Ashford. Again, the composure. Now, I'm not saying he might have been going for goal, but it looks like he's just headed it back across goal. But a composure to kind of keep it in the danger zone rather than try and lean back and twist and get it towards goal. Maybe it goes over, maybe it goes straight to the keeper, whatever. Like that composure to just put it back into a dangerous area. Robertson, whilst I do prefer him a bit deeper, he's doing a tremendous job of playing in the 10. And like we're starting to get some players back as well. Tanner looks sharp, works hard, he's got a good attitude now. Had his sort of little moment last year, but he's, in terms of his attitude, like, had a bit of a dip, but I think he's been excellent since then, and he's one of the ones who really works hard no matter what. And he looks dangerous, especially when you're playing on the break and you get him in behind. Pinches the ball a couple of times in his press. I like it. He's got a bit of bite about him, Tanner, as well. Like, he's not one to shy away from it. I like that. Overall, you've got to take it as a massive positive. First half, again, we could have been 2, maybe 3 up. I completely outplayed them. Second half is just unfortunate. That 60 seconds, 2 minutes, whatever, at the start of the game has just cost us 3 points. And I do, look, the red card is what has cost us, of course. Changes the game, completely ruins the game. And I'm so fed up of watching football matches, whether it's Cardiff or other football matches, and just seeing referees ruin games. I understand they take a lot of grief and it's a hard job and the rest of it. But, like, that's just a no-brainer. And I was speaking to a ref yesterday, actually, which is really ironic, about grassroots football and about football which hasn't got VAR. And he said, unless it's for 2 yellows, to give a red card, a referee has to be absolutely certain that it's a red. Otherwise, he shouldn't give it for games where you haven't got VAR. And, like, for me, that's just never in a million years is it a red card. It's just a natural movement. His arm catches him. Didn't do any damage. He was fine. It was no malice in it. He hasn't looked to do him and stuff like that. There was one the other week in I think it was a Wolves game where he's just like giving him a right old goal. Like, but no, that was, and it ruins the game. But even with 10 men, we stuck in there. We made ourselves compact. It was interesting. So, in my opinion, the reason they went to the 3/5 is because there was a couple of occasions where Alex Robertson was kind of playing as like a hybrid, like right midfielder, but he was playing very narrow. And a couple of times they would play a ball to the far side and read him over, mark his winger, and their fullback was just overlapping, which is part of, it's part of the thing when you're down to 10 men, the extra man, and they were finding space out wide. So I understood what he was trying to do by getting 5 across there and then having the bank of 3 and then sort of 2, kind of almost like 2 false nines who were going to drop in and make it, a 4 and a 5 or a 5 and a 4. I understand it. For me, like, and it's all opinions, isn't it? Like, for me, I maybe would have liked to have seen us be a little bit braver and maybe, go with like a 4 and a 4 and a 4 with one of them being, or like a 4-4-1 sort of thing, but maybe definitely didn't have the personnel. I thought Alex Robertson put a massive shot. Andy Rinamoto, mate, what a guy. Like, hey, like to go from sometimes not making the squad, barely getting minutes other than the EFL Cup, to now being, a standout player week in, week out, whether he plays right back, whether he plays midfield, is just standout at all times, is phenomenal. The attitude and the professionalism that he has shown over the last sort of 18 months is outstanding. And honestly, now, if I was maybe not a manager, but a coaches or a director of football, let's pretend we've got one, I'd be going in that changing room and I'd be saying to that squad, see him, see Callum O'Dowda, see Andy Rinamoto, and a few others, but those 2 specifically, that's the attitude that you should have if you want to stay up. That's the professionalism that you should have if you want to stay up. Rinamoto is just, again, like O'Dowda, exemplary, but like the mentality to be out with a squad, not piss and moan like some others have done. Just get your head down, work hard in training, and believe that in your own ability, and believe that when your chance comes, I'll show what I can do. EFL Cup games come around, he plays. did all right in them. And then look what happens. And like I said the other day, I can't remember which show it was on because I do so many, but like for me now, whatever system we play, whether it's the wing back system or the four at the back, Rinamoto's first choice right back for me. Perry NG has to earn his place back. I still would like to see us be a bit more aggressive at home, maybe with like a K Pacquiao coming in to give us just a bit of pace and a bit more aggression. But you couldn't knock him for sticking with that 11 because they did so well against Watford. And then that first half shows that as well, because the first half, carried on exactly from that Watford game. Great attitude, great quality as well. So that's what I like. And whisper it, don't say it too loud because we are in the bottom three. But we're starting to see a bit of quality play as well. It's not just kind of try and nick one and hold on by the seat of your pants type stuff. We're playing some nice stuff in the final third, because now, instead of trying to play it in with the keeper and play from the back, we're getting it forward quickly and then trying to play our football in the final third. Our pressing is phenomenal at the moment. Callum Robinson and Alex Robertson and others, Siopis being allowed. So Siopis, I noticed he did it a couple of times with 10 men and we kind of got away with it. One of the criticisms of him, apart from giving the ball away earlier in the season, is he does vacate the central midfield area to go and press and win the ball. He gets a bit frustrated and he wants to go win it and he wants to engage. I like that. But what Chambers allows you to do is Siopis can vacate the midfield and go and try and win the ball back, because Chambers just sits. And that then allows, you've got Siopis going, you've got Robertson going, you've got Willock tucking in, you've got Ashford tucking in, and you've got Robinson pressing at the back. We picked up the ball again so many times where they're trying to play out from the back. And we're doing to teams what teams did to us at the start of the season. They see us playing from the back, they press in numbers, they pick up the second balls. Love that. I'm a little bit concerned that Callum Robinson doesn't get overturned, because we look such a different side with him up front and a mobile striker up front. And as far as I'm aware, Isaac Davis is nowhere near match ready. So you haven't got a like-for-like replacement. I think Keane's better out wide. And again, I thought he looked a little bit leggy just because of intensity of the games and him, suddenly playing. It's like, what you do. Like, if this was on the back of the Watford game and Robinson was out, I would say play Keane up front, because I think he can do a similar job. Having seen him be a bit leggy today, you're like, or I'm like, maybe you could do it for an hour and then you could bring in someone else. But I would like to see, I think Tanner, you bring in Tanner for this game, for the Borough game. And I'd also I'd push O'Dowda up to left wing and bring in Bagan at left back, because Middlesbrough got two really good wingers. And I think whilst O'Dowda's been excellent defensively, he is a winger. And I think given him a little bit more freedom won't be a bad thing. He'll still work back and help. And Bagan's a natural defender, so I think that's good. But yeah, I think we've done well. I'll go to some of the comments. Some interesting faces in the crowd today, wasn't there? Dave Jones was there. I seen a few people sort of asking the questions. All my, I did send some texts out. Everything I had back is that it's just a visit. Nothing is kind of planned. He's not the board member, director of football that's been rumoured and talked about on social media, and he's certainly not being considered for the manager's thing, I don't think. But let's talk about Dave Jones, because I saw, there's some varying opinions. I saw quite a lot of people on Twitter saying he'd be a good appointment for that director of football, let's call it. And I see the logic of it. He knows the club. Got a lot of contacts in football, obviously, and we played some of our best football under him. I think the flip side to that is he had a lot of very good players when he was manager of us. He brought in we had some real top footballers in there. You know, your Bothroyds, your Choppers, your McPhails. God, Darren Pearce. You got. I'm trying to think as many names as possible. McNaughton's, like some real good footballers in there. Jason Kumas, McCormack, like some really Peter Whitnam. You know, like some unbelievable footballers. Peter Whitnam, oh, man, what a legend! So good. I could watch him and Steve McPhail play football for forever. So let's not forget he had some incredible footballers there. Did play the best football, but he also didn't get us up, didn't win anything. Which, you know, you don't expect to win anything necessarily at the championship level, but he never quite got us over the line. But most importantly, away from that, I think he's been out of football for about 10 years, I believe. His last job in football, didn't he take Hartlepool down from the EFL? So I'm not sure, you know, one of the things that I've been critical over the past sort of 5, 6, 7 years is that we keep bringing in managers, coaches, whatever, people to be involved who maybe, you know, in a day they were incredible. But like, why aren't we being progressive in the way we're thinking with coaching and technical directors and moving the football club forward? It's 2024. Let's be a 2024 football club. Let's not be behind the curve. Now, that's not me saying that I don't think Dave Jones could do a good job as director of football. I think he has a lot of the things that you would like from a director of football that he could bring. He's experienced. He knows the game. You know, he's played. He's worked at a very high level. He's got contacts, you know, all over the place. He showed that with some of the wheeling and dealing and transfers he brought in. Very clever man. Knows the football club, and I believe, from memory, which admittedly my memory is not great, but I believe that Vincent Tan quite likes him. So, the couple of texts that I had back from the many I sent out earlier to try and find out if there was anything to it, said it was just a visit. But I don't. I like a good conspiracy theory, me, and don't believe in coincidences. So you never know, I guess. But where do you guys think? Like, do you think it would be a good appointment as director of football? I mean, surely we wouldn't consider him as a manager. Like, surely. Really? But then, would this football club surprise you with anything they do? I guess is the probably not. Right, let's have a look at some of these comments. Owen says, any transfer gossip. The only names I have heard is that lad from Liverpool on loan. I forget his name. The winger. and nothing concrete, just general, you know, chit chat and stuff. And Al Hamidi, who we were linked with in the summer, I still think would be a great sign-in because I think him and Robinson are quite similar, and he's got a good record at this level. He's not playing particularly many games for Ipswich. If you can get him on loan to the end of the season, I think he's a good alternative to Robinson if he's injured or he's not fit or he's suspended or whatever, or he just needs a rest. But they could also play together because I think both of them can play wide or in the 10 as well. So you haven't got to necessarily play one or the other. He's a clever footballer. He can finish, score goals, create. I don't know much about the Liverpool winger, but I will probably do a little scout video on that Liverpool winger because he's been linked by a few different people. But they'll be coming back, like the little 10-minute scouting videos. If there's any players you'd like us to do a video on, and obviously let us know. And particularly if you're a member on the YouTube channel or on Patreon, send it via a message if there's any videos that you'd like us to do, whether it's looking at director of football, looking at the finances, although I've got a long form video coming, not for a while, looking at the financial side of the club and what the future may and may not hold. But it's obviously taken a lot of research, so that'll be coming. But if there's anything which you guys would like to see those videos on, especially in the transfer window open now, then yeah, let us know in that members section particularly, but obviously in the comments as well. If you are a member, we've got the retro watch-alongs will be starting, hoping to do one next week. The first couple will just be us lot, and then we're going to we'll bring in some guests who are either involved in the game or have got some sort of link to the game. We're going to kind of watch them, but also talk about the music at the time, the fashion, what we were doing at the time, what it was like going to games at that time, if it's applicable. Obviously, speak to the guests and stuff as well. So they should be fun. I'm looking forward to that. So that's going to be like a members only thing, as well as we're going to bring a new podcast, or I'm going to do a new podcast once a week, sort of half hour, called The Rumour Mill. And I'll just talk about any transfer rumours and stuff that we're kind of hearing whispers about, just because it's a bit of fun in it, in the challenge, in the transfer window. And also, we want to give the members some additional content as they keep the lights on. Right, Andrew says, Cardiff always playing against 12 men, not 11, because the referees are so biased. We don't seem to get many good referees. Andrew says there's O'Dowd superb again, along with Siopis. Jonathan says if Ashford was more experienced, he makes a meal of that contact with a keeper. Yeah, too honest, didn't he? Evan says to play like we did in the first half shows that we can stay up, but our concentration is shocking as the game progresses. We were great for 30 minutes and then basically gave up. I don't know about gave up. Like, I think the first half we were dominant in most metrics. We should have been a couple up at least. The second half, it just, any plan or semblance of a plan goes out the window within 120 seconds. Not only do you concede the equaliser, which is bad enough, but then to get Callum Robinson sent off almost straight from the kickoff it is disastrous, it's calamitous. And say what you will about a ref, we didn't start the second half well, but then I thought we dug in, and I think that's what you needed if we'd capitulated and lost 3-1, fell apart after such a dominant first half. You're worrying again about the mentality and the attitude and the application of the squad as a whole. But to see them dig in like that, everyone put a shift in, even if the quality wasn't there for some. Everyone put a shift in, put their bodies on the line to make sure we didn't lose, and we could have pinched it. Absolutely could have pinched it. Renario says Dave Jones for director of football. Interesting. Paul says we've dropped too many points that we'll regret at the end of the season. Well, do you know what, right? On the refereeing thing, I know people say, it evens itself out at the end of the season and all that. I don't believe that. If you go back to the Premier League, that Chelsea goal, which is 5 yards offside before VAR, we got relegated on that. Like, really. I know you get relegated over a season, but we get a point in that game, and I get something from that game. We stayed up. Today, if we go down by 2 points this year, that sending off has cost us. Now, of course, you go down because of the numerous other points you have dropped. But it is a bit of a sickener to play that well and then it all kind of come crumbling down. So you're happy almost with a draw in a game that you should have won because the refs made a bad decision. And I just think the standard's got to be better. And I'm not one for abusing refs and all this sort of stuff. I think it's childish and pathetic. But on social media and stuff like that. But come on. It's not a hard decision. Get it right. Anon says, excellent today. Hopefully a turning point. Chances to win it, even though we're under the cosh. That's the difference. Yeah, and I think that's the difference, big difference between now and the start of the season and even last season is in that same situation. It would have just been a 5 and a 4, 0 striker. We wouldn't have even tried to score. And we were trying to press and pinch it at certain times. And I think I watch some people watching the games and stuff, and they're encouraging players to go and press. And I think sometimes they don't understand how a press works and stuff. I think they want players to just go and chase willy-nilly on their own, and it doesn't work. It's easy to play through. You've got to, there's trigger points like heavy touches, wrong foot, body position of the opposition, things like that, where you go. And then there'll be certain players where when they go, everyone goes and stuff like that. I thought our pressing in the last 2 games has been excellent. Even against Oxford at times, small times, it was pretty good. So that's encouraging because we've played our best stuff under Rhys when we've been on the front foot. And I said it the other week, I kind of think with this team, the best form of defence is attack, because we do tend to switch off sometimes at the back. We do have a mistake in us. So let's get it up the other end and play. Jeff says, we experienced a proper ref in Watford, and then this idiot pops up out of nowhere to destroy us this week. He was a sub, wasn't he? Lampard, super sub. Anon says, Alex Robertson and Seal, some duo building. Yeah, they complement each other well. I'm pretty sure, someone can correct me, I might be wrong with this. Have they played together as a two? Yeah, from the start. I'm not sure if they have, I might be wrong with that. Rhys, RDE, says, I think the FA Cup counts as one of those games, so Borough, Watford and Sheffield United might be back for the Jacks. It should get overturned, I got to say. I think Callum Robinson looks bang up for it. I think he's another one, mind, who's really turned it around attitude and motivation-wise and has conducted himself excellently since the summer. He deserves credit for that because it's not always easy to do that. Jonathan says Callum Robinson looked up for it today, but unfortunately lost track of his lines, caught offside. Do you know the one which Psyop is scooped over the top? I would like to see it back again, but I think the left back plays him on. But not that it matters, but close ones in this. Andrew says, didn't think we missed Colwell today. Like I said, I think we could have done with him in the second half as someone just to hold onto the ball. But I understand why he didn't play as well to a certain degree. Just think, I didn't think Willock did that great today. I wouldn't mind seeing, because I like Alex Ross. I like the way that we're setting up in midfield at the moment because it's getting the best out of some players who we weren't necessarily getting the best out of all the time. So Robertson has been impressive since he's come, but we're seeing a bit more off the ball from him now, as well as on the ball. Psyopis looks really, really good because he's got the security of Chambers with him. So I wouldn't mind seeing Ruben play that role he played. I think he did it in pre-season, where he's kind of on the left but drifts, and because Willock does it as well. So Ruben can do that same role, and then you can keep Robertson for the press and in the 10, and you get Ruben a bit of freedom. O'Dowda going down the left with him from fullback. I think that could work quite nice. Gavin says this formation doesn't allow Tanner to start, which is a shame. Also, I think if a Coventry player elbowed our defender in the face, would be screaming for a red. It wasn't an elbow, though, was it? Like, he just caught him with his arm as he was trying to hold him off. With Tanner, though, I think you got Ashford, Willock, O'Dowda, Ruben, Tanner. They can all play in the wide positions. And I do think with these games being so close together, I do think you've got to vary it up. And maybe, if Robinson can't play against Borough, does Keane go in the middle because he wants to keep the press and keep everything as it is? And then you can have Tanner on the left or the right, and you could move O'Dowda there, or you can have Ruben on the left and Tanner on the right. Interesting, look, that we've suddenly got a few options. Andrew says on that front, he says that I think Ashford should play up front for the next game, Tanner on the left. I was really happy to see Tanner on the left the other Watford when he came on. I've been screaming out for that for a while because I'm fed up of seeing wingers who want to cut in and shoot. I want to see some bloody crosses. We've done all right from crosses as well today. Caused some problems. Jeff says, I think Callum should be captain, in my opinion, but would it affect his game with the extra responsibility? I don't think so, really. I think captains on the field don't have any more responsibility than a leader in the team would have anyway, really. Other than maybe speaking to the ref, but they speak to him anyway. Anon says, Mate's got to go. Another stinker. Straight down the tunnel after the game, unlike the rest of the team. Don't want to see him or El Ghazi in the shirt today. El Ghazi conspicuous by his absence, wasn't he? Paul says, this system suits Chambers and Psyopis. Psyopis had a great shot again. They have been really good the last two games. Yeah, they have been really good. And that Psyopis shot was going in as well. And like he nearly scored the other day as well. He's coming, isn't he? He's coming. Andrew says, get VAR in the Championship. It's got to come. I hate VAR so much. But when you have decisions like that which cost you points, it is difficult to not want it, But I hate it so much as well. I'm really caught between two minds with it. But guys, if you've got any questions, by the way, chuck them in the comments and I'll kind of get to them as I work through the chat now. Jonathan says that ref was absolute certain he wanted Coventry to win. That's the only thing the ref was absolutely certain about. He also says Simic was watching from the director's box, apparently. It'll be interesting what we've done. I'm not sure when he's back from his injury, but I would assume if it's after January, we can't send him on loan. And I'm assuming no one would take him while he's injured. So he may end up in the squad by default. I don't know. But I don't think anyone can really say for definite that he's amazing or he's crap or what he's like. Don't know a great deal about him. All I know is that he played Champions League football last year, scored a couple of goals, and didn't get much of a look in Belgium this year because they had a lot of strikers in front of him. Paul says, agree. O'Dowda for captain. That was the guy I was thinking about. Jeff says, rumour from Liverpool that Ben Doak may be recalled from Borough and sent to a Premier League side. Leicester could be the one. Get it done then before Saturday. Yeah, it'd be nice to take him out because he's the real danger man. Rhys says, really unlucky with Tanner not snatching the winner later on. Yeah, I just thought he should have taken it in. Just one more touch to take it in. The keeper would have come, slotted in the corner. The keeper would have preferred for him to shoot from where he did. That's my only thought, really. But it was a good shot, good save. What can you do? ATEC1927, welcome, mate. He says, did Lampard bring the ref on as a sub? Totally took the game away from a great performance again. Take the point. The attitude seems completely different. A few leaders finally stepping up. Yeah, and maybe those kind of the group or the players who were so publicly backed Rhys, I don't know if they were aware or became aware that there was rumours that he might be replaced. And they've I know they've had a few meetings and stuff, the players. So whether they've kind of said, come on, this is on us, not on him. Because I do think a lot of our problems this year, not all, a lot of our problems this year have been about attitude, work rate, application, rather than not necessarily having the quality. Of course, there's been some tactical things and different moments which we could have done things differently. But overall, as a season, I think a lot of it has been kind of work rate related and concentration and attitude and stuff. So it's good to see that they are digging in, because after that Oxford game, I think I said in the breakdown pod, I think I said, I just can't see this group of players as a whole digging in to keep us up at the moment. And the last two games, they've really proven me wrong. And I just hope that from now until the end of the season, no matter what the results are, that's the level of application and work rate that we see from the group as a whole. Because ultimately, as we're fans, all we want them to do is give 110%. You get beaten by a better team, you get beaten by a better team. But as long as you can look at that team and clap them at the end of the game because they've given 100%, that's all you can ask. If we go down, let's go down with a fight, not with a whimper. And let's be honest, the Championship, the way it is so strange. Like, if we put a run together, just as a hypothetical, and say didn't lose a game in 10, won 8, drew 2, we'd be bloody mid-table. It's so close this year in the Championship. It's unreal. Few games, win a few games and you shoot up. Jonathan says, mate, he had a decent effort just wide. Reminded me of Ikapuzu versus Barnsley, the way he was bundling it through their defence. Yeah, he kind of just bundled it, won it back. That shot closed down, won it back. It was a decent shot wide, and he didn't do a great deal out there, much else, but he was putting himself about, I suppose. Vincent says, great today. We should have won it by far. The better team. Bad luck second half with the sending off, but we look like we can compete with the better sides. Darlin, Gutas, all great in the back four. Good stuff. Yeah, I kind of agree with most of that, mate. I want to show you, or I want to tell you something. So I had a message off my friend after the game today. And he said, today is the first day I've been really worried. We have to beat teams like Coventry, even with 10 men. But everyone seems to be happy with the draw. He said he kind of feels like everyone's watching a different game. He said he thought the second half was poor management, and he thought Coventry were dreadful. And he said if the fans are happy with that, then this team was going down, which I thought was quite. It wasn't how I felt. It's just a friend of mine said it, so that was kind of interesting. But we shall see, I guess. Ooh, just had a very interesting some stuff. Oh. Yeah, I can't talk about any of that stuff. Don't want to get sued. Isaac Davis, mid-January, says, Jonathan, Turnbull out till March or April. And Turnbull would struggle to get back in 11 at the moment, mate. And that's a good thing because that means we're playing well. Andrew says, Colwell could play up top now. Yeah, could do, mate. And that could suit with Robertson behind, especially if you've got Ashford, Tanner as your wingers. So let me just float this hypothetical. If Willock were to drop back to the bench and you had Ruben as a false nine with Robertson behind, Ashford on one side and Tanner on the other, with O'Dowda as the overlap, and then Psyop is pushing up a little bit as well. I think that could cause teams a lot of problems because when the false nine drops in, the central defenders have to make a decision of whether to go or stay. 9 times out of 10, they're going to go with that sort of centre forward, for lack of a better terms, and it creates a space. You've got a midfielder, you've got wingers. If they run into that space and you time the pass, schoolboy stuff, but like so effective. But you've got to have runners in behind to utilise a false nine correctly. Like I don't see Ruben playing as an out-and-out nine necessarily, although he can hold the ball up well. His first touch is good. So maybe could act like a bit of a link-up man. I don't know. I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Rhys, maybe, who had previously said he could see Ruben ending up as a striker. I know the Wales setup, they think he's going to be an 8. I mean, at one point against Watford, I was thinking I would love to see a midfield 3 of Chambers as the 6, just sitting, and Robertson and Ruben as dual 8s, like what Bellamy did in the last home game, where effectively they're both number 10s by trade, but they play as 8s, so they drop in and defend out of possession. But really, it's a really aggressive system, and you've got to be, at it to do it. But I'd love to see us have a little go at that against certain teams. Different teams, isn't it? Different teams, different tactics. Jonathan says, I seriously think we should try O'Dowda up top. He hasn't been tried there yet and offers a lot of qualities that we need. I think you take away too much of what he offers, mate. Like, I understand what you're saying. He's got a lot of qualities to do it. I just think you lose too much with him. Like, he's so effective. Particularly when we're playing the back 4 now, we're doing kind of the Villa thing of Rinamoto sort of being a bit more conservative in his support and tucking in. Chambers is sitting, and then O'Dowda just gets licensed to bomb forward. And then if you've got a Willock or a Ruben on the left who tucks in naturally, it just creates a lot of space. And then the opposition winger, and wingers notoriously are not that disciplined defensively. If the winger doesn't go with O'Dowda, you've got that overload on the left-hand side every time. And he left footer on the left-hand side, good crosser of the ball, very clever with the ball. I just think we'd lose too much by moving him up front, mate. I don't hate it as an idea, though. Phil says Colwell won't play up top. He hasn't got a bottle. Harsh. Rhys says, Marshall, McPhail, Chris Burke, Chops, Kumas, so many players Dave Jones has. Jonathan says Dave Jones has more football knowledge in his left nut than our board has between them. You could name all the good footballers he's brought in. Yeah, made more good footballers as they brought in than him. Yeah, I don't disagree. I would. Yeah, you know what I mean. I just question whether he's been out of the game too long to be effective. I'm not saying he couldn't be. I just wonder, and obviously he didn't have a particularly great time at Hartlepool, but it's a difficult job at it. Phil says Dave Jones did that on a shoestring though. So 100%. I mean, some of the deals that he was able to pull off were mind blowing. Dave, that time watching Dave Jones probably is my favourite. That and Malky were probably my favourite time pre rebrand. Were like real favourite times, real fond memories of following Cardiff. Obviously with Malky, it was just there was something about it before the rebrands. He had this personality and dour Scotsman. He just kind of everyone was behind him, winning 1-0, playing shit football was just there was something about it. But Dave Jones, the football under Dave Jones, the players we were signing, do you know what I mean? I know they never really worked out that well, like Fowler and Hasselbank and stuff, but just the thought of those players coming and playing for Cardiff at that time was just mental. Jonathan says Dave Jones, the best football I remember seeing at Cardiff, wasn't lumpet, but was direct, effective, and we would never fight in relegation with no money. Our best players were sold under him. Yeah, you only got to listen to the Joe Ledley and that the event I did with him talk about how he had to leave Cardiff. Disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. Yeah, so I understand that the guy next to him is Alex Armstrong. I know there's been some other rumours about who it is, but I'm pretty sure it's Alex Armstrong. Looks like him. If it's not Alex Armstrong, it's like his doppelganger, Phil says, director of football, definitely. We need someone who knows something about football. And that ultimately it comes down to this for me. Whilst I'm not 100% convinced he's the right person to be the director of football at Cardiff City at this moment, or long term maybe, the lack of football knowledge within our football club above the manager and that is so astoundingly poor that I would bring him in just in the short term because we need someone who knows what they're doing with regards to football. And it's something which I've been crying out for years, not just me, other fans as well. But it's just it's just embarrassing, the lack of football knowledge at the football club, Jonathan says Dave Jones could both help with the football decisions in the boardroom, but also help Rhys develop as a manager. Yeah, I mean, even things like Rhys after a game going to sit and have a glass of red wine or a cup of tea with him and bounce ideas off him, and talk to him about certain personalities and how to deal with them. Because there's a few personalities which are in that dressing room, which in my opinion are probably not conducive and helpful to a relegation fight. Graham, who's also a member, you'll see that nice little badge and a green name. He says, I don't think Robert would miss the Jack's game. Google says cup games count. Yeah, I think someone else said that as well, so that was good. Yeah, no, I don't think Doug will leave us. I think it was Paul said. I got confused, I think. But we've been linked with a Liverpool winger or fullback on a loan. It's not been by anyone credible, by the way. But it'd be nice if he got recalled before they play us, though. But Graham just makes a great point. The only problem is there's possible snow forecast for that cup game, and if it gets cancelled, yeah, that'll be typical. I mean, I think surely they'll overturn that red card, but you do run the risk of it being extended to 3 games if you appeal it. So it's just one of those stupid rules, isn't it? Vincent says, good defensively, second half. Alnwick made a few good saves. Yeah, he made a couple of real good ones. Look, back to his best today, I thought. Back to his best after he'd had a few ropey ones. Steve, evening mate, says, avoid Dave Jones being out of football for too long, far too long. Yeah, and that's my worry is he's been out of football for so long. But we also need someone with football knowledge. and what I would like about it. Like, I can argue for and against ultimately, but I think at least he knows, he's got a lot of contacts, he knows football, he knows the football club. And I think he would expect high standards. And maybe that's what we need, is someone with football knowledge who's going to drag the fucking standards up a bit overall. Graham says the ref against Watford was excellent. Today was one of the worst. It's just the inconsistencies, isn't it? It's so frustrating. Holton, evening, mate, says director of football, interest in that. I'm sure people just say these things just to wind me up. Dave Tids says, is there any news on Ryan Wintle returning? The last I was told was that they were going to have a conversation between Millwall and Cardiff to see what the next move was. But Jonathan has just said he played for Millwall today, and their loss came on for the last 10 minutes. Me personally, not for me. I know some people would have him, some people wouldn't. It's all opinions, isn't it? But for me, in a relegation fight, in a dressing room that is already temperamental, should we say, there's been some people who've had to be taken out of it and that. Is he the right personality to bring back in? Now, he might be the right personality to bring in and get people focused and doing it, but he might be a problem. Like, I've heard different versions on what went on with him. One is that he had a terrible attitude and was laughing and joking after that Rotherham game quite publicly. And then the other was that he just kind of went to Bullet and made a few observations in a certain way and complained. They didn't really get on and he was shipped out. So one side kind of says that he was a problem, the other side plays it down a little bit. So, say what you will. Not for me, but that's more because I don't think he's that good at football. There's nothing personal. I think we've got better options, particularly with Callum Chambers now going back to that CDM role from his earlier in his career. So yeah. Jeff says, loved that tackle from Rhodri on Sacramento. He limped all the way back to the bench. Yeah, it was hell of a tackle. Dan Lowe says, El Ghazi didn't come on last game, not in the squad today. Anything being said? Nothing specific, mate. I mean, like I've talked about just a couple of minutes ago, I think there's people within that squad who are not conducive with togetherness and getting a relegation fight. And I think Omar Rhys, for an interim manager and a rookie one at that, has done a pretty good job of moving some of those players out of the squad and probably out of the club in January. I don't know whether El Ghazi is one of them, by the way. I should sort of clarify that. I don't know if he is, but it is conspicuous by his absence that he was out of the team on the Watford game, didn't play in the Watford game, and then was out of the squad completely today. And the last game he played, he kind of shit out of a challenge when he should have scored. So, I don't know. Rhys says, I thought we would have taken either Renamo or CO off after the red and played Ruben as a false 9, 4-5-0 formation, but false 9 Ruben. I think would have had them with that. Yeah, mate, that was my thought exactly. But I mean, it's like balancing it up. Like, you got to take the positives from it. The work rate, the attitudes, the way they went about the business, the togetherness, all really positive. Still created chances with 10 men, still pressed at the right times and pinched the ball. So it was all good. I would have done it slightly different, and I probably would have gone more with something like that, because I felt like we needed someone up top who was capable of holding the ball to allow the others to get up with him. And it just kept coming back all the time. And then when Mayte came on, we just kind of were just lumping it up to him a little bit. And I think if you'd had Ruben as a false 9 and then Tanner where he kind of was, I think we'd have created a lot of problems for him, because they were Coventry were dire, mate. I really thought they were bad. There's been a couple of teams this year we've played, and I've just thought, Jesus Christ, how are we not beating these? Like, they're really bad. Jonathan says El Ghazi might be one of the ones leaving, to be honest. says a lot that even Kanga makes the bench ahead of him. And I think he's on a decent wage. I have no idea, mate. Alex says 100% agree. I'd swap Willock for Ruben next game. Yeah, I think that's a fair shout, mate. Willock's been one of our better. No, Willock has been one of our better players. Today, he wasn't. And you have to rotate it You have to rotate it when you've had all these games close together. You have to, and they've all put a massive shift in today as well, with down to 10 men. I just think you've got to rotate it. So yeah, it's not necessarily a slight on Willock. I didn't think he was at his best today, but I also think it's not the worst thing to try and find a space for Ruben that's effective for him and the team. And I think him in that same role as what Willock does could be really effective with Robertson inside him, Robinson in front of him, and O'Dowd outside him. I think that could be really good. Where's that message going? Alex says, "Si, did you hear what Rhys said post-match? Basically said we lack pace and he's after someone with frightening pace." And that is encouraging, because I think we've been saying that for a long time. But I do wonder how much of a say he will get in who comes in, if I'm being honest. Like, not based on anything I've heard, just that he's an interim manager who's only supposed to be here till the summer. Not going to give him millions to spend, now that we've got it. So who's going to make those decisions? We need some signings, but it's also good to see some players coming back. Although I thought Perry was rough today, but there we go. It takes time. It takes time. Rhys says Alnwick pulled off some massive saves for us today. Another great performance from him. I'd give him a new deal. Yeah, I think I probably would. I really, really like Jack Alnwick's attitude. I think similar to O'Dowd, he's been quite good with the fans when some other players have walked off when we haven't been doing very well. I've heard really good things about him in terms of him being one of the group that's trying to keep the dressing room together and pushing forward to make sure we don't get relegated. I think he's been a big part of that from what I hear. So yeah, I would give him another deal. But all I meant earlier is O'Dowd is the one where I'm like 100% give him a new deal. All of the others, I can kind of find a reason for and against. And even with Jack Alnwick, I can find a for and against. I thought today was his best game for a while. Jonathan says, do you think with all these injuries will affect Isaac Davis's pace? All this time we're hoping he comes back and makes an impact, but plenty of players have finished after injuries. Yeah, it's a bad injury, mate, isn't it? It's a bad one. And you just never know, mate. It's impossible to say. But there's obviously a chance. We've seen players lose their pace after serious injuries. So it is what it is. Sloper Road Blues on Twitter says, need some sign-ins. Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. And I want to see the club be like in the summer. They were really proactive in getting the signings done quickly and effectively. Now, yeah, of course, Kanga didn't work out. If Kanga had banged in 10, 12 goals, I think you look back at that summer and think that's a pretty fucking good window for a team, for a club with not a lot of money, and for a club who notoriously drags out transfers and takes ages. I think we really should have moved a couple out, but I would like to see us be as proactive now, literally from today, as we were in the summer, and get them done early. I would love to be doing a video tomorrow saying breaking news: Cardiff have signed blah 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 on loan. Cardiff blah 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 blah. By January the 10th, we're like, we don't need to make any more signings. We just need to move a couple out because we've brought in X, Y, and Z. I'd love to say that. Let's be proactive and make sure we stay up. Josh says Simic will have to gain some fitness in the under-21s. We need a striker and a winger too with pace. Chambers will need some help in the holding role. Maybe Wintle can deputy. Chambers was brilliant in there again. Really protects the back line. I'd really bring Joel Colwell back. He could prove useful in the 8-8 role. We're adapting to it at the moment. Where does Ruben fit in? He doesn't. There's lots to digest there. So starting with Chambers, I think Chambers has been excellent. I think Joe Rawls could play the 6 role if you wanted to give Chambers a break. I also think Cyprus does it naturally if you put him and Robertson in together. So I don't necessarily think you need to bring Wintle back, because you've got Rawls, Chambers, Cyprus can all play a 6. Rinamoto can also play a 6. Alex Robertson can also play a 6 if required. So you've got a lot of options in there. And I just don't think you need to bring Wintle back. Joel Colwell, I just think he's better off staying where he is. I know for a fact he is happy. He's playing week in, week out. He's the first name on the team sheet. The Cheltenham fans love him. He's playing men's football. He's getting battered about a bit. He's playing good football. He's scoring goals, getting assists, playing in a few different positions, although he seems to be more settled now. Only to just come here and just sit on the bench because we're not going to risk him in a... because for whatever reason, Cardiff are reluctant to play young players. He'll be on the bench for ages, and it would take like some injuries for us to chuck him in. And then if he shines, he might retain his place. Whereas playing week in, week out, scoring, playing men's football, he is happy. He's going to come back in the summer and he's going to be absolutely buzzing, full of confidence, full of beans, ready to challenge for a first team spot. And then you have a full pre-season with him. And I would really like to see us build a midfield with kind of him and Robertson for the long term. That's just my opinion. It's all opinions, mate, and you're entitled to yours as much as I am mine. And I do think in that dual 8 role, he'll be good. But as I said earlier, with Ruben, in this system that we're playing at the moment, he can play as one of the dual 8s, and he can also play where Willock plays as like that floating left winger who cuts in and drifts in. So and he can also play a false 9. So there's plenty of room and opportunity for player. You need a squad. It's not an 11-man game. It's a 20-man game. You know. Let's have a look. ATech 1927 says Alnwick, since not playing out from the back, seems 100% more confident. Yes, a lot of pressure, mate, on keepers. Like, I know it's part of the game and you've got to do it, but it's a lot of pressure on keepers to get it right. And sometimes, particularly when things are going bad or you're under pressure, defenders can hide a little bit and not want the ball, but they don't make it obvious and they kind of hide behind a player. And yeah, like, I think he's a wicked shot stopper and he's the better of our 2 keepers with his feet, but I'm not 100% like sold on him with his feet either. But I'd rather have an exceptional shot stopper and play a bit more direct. At the end of the day, let's be like who we are. We're not flipping Real Madrid or whatever at the moment. Jonathan says, after the past few weeks, Oxford and before today's game, the way it was, we get absolutely turned over, and we all know it. So we take confidence to the fact we didn't fold like a deck of cards. Yeah, I kind of alluded to that earlier, mate. I think it's massive that we didn't just fold in the second half. Jonathan also says, the way he's improved the press, I prefer Robertson as a 10 and then Colwell. I think they're different players, but I agree with you. Robertson has 100% improved the press. And I think, like I said, I think Ruben can do the same role as what Willock does. They can interchange. Maybe sometimes one of them's better off the bench, depending on the game. He could also drop into players at dual 8 with one holder when required. In fact, he did that. What was the game? One of the games recently, I think he came on as a sub in that game. He played like much more deeper as like an 8 on the left-hand side, and he did really well, work back, supported the left back. He was really good. Right, time has flown. 5 minutes past the hour already. Let's have a look. Andrew says, lack of talk about rules tonight. Think he can add a new dimension to this stage of the season. I think he can be a vital member of the squad. I just struggle to see. Actually, no, I agree with you, because I think in certain games, as well as Chambers has done, in certain games, you don't need Chambers and Siopis in there. And then you have a choice. Do you bring Robertson back, which I'm not against? I quite like Robertson from a deeper position. I think he's really good on the ball. He just offers a little bit more off the ball when he plays further forward, like in the press. But I think Rolls can play those balls through the lines, and I think he can be more of a playmaking number 6, a bit like a Stephen McPhail or someone like that. But I would like to see him be the holder and hold his central position like Chambers has done. And then I think he can be really effective. But I also think he can be effective. I think he can be really effective off the bench when you need to hold on to the ball, when you need a calm head. I'm just not sure that him starting is the way to go at the moment. Things can change, though. Martin says, O'Dowda absolutely terrified Sakamoto today. Such a shame we gave a goal away early in the second half. Yeah, Sakamoto was anonymous until the sending off. And then once they had that extra man, he got a bit more space. But O'Dowda did a job on him big time. Patreon John Watkins says, Dave Jones being out so long would be a problem as a manager, but he seems to possess most of the qualities needed for a technical director. Yeah, I tend to lean more to it would be a good short-term decision. Long-term, I don't think he's the answer as director of football. Short-term, I can see it working because we need some bloody football knowledge in there. It's what we need. Right, last couple. I'm going to skip through and just going to pick out a couple. Jonathan says, questionable maybe about Dave Jones working, but it's certainly a step in the right direction. Having someone with contacts who knows the football. He might be out of touch, but he would be watching. Yeah, he knows Cardiff. He watches, he would have watched football. He knows the league. Worked at a high level. He ticks a lot of boxes. Jonathan says, I'd love Jaden Dan from Liverpool. Surely we could get a better option. We'd be a better option than Plymouth. They just sacked their manager, didn't they? Dan says, I'd give me El Ghazi up top if Top Robbo's out. Oof. Rough, mate, that is. Oh, Alex, how did being a mascot go, mate? Yeah? You enjoy it? Good, man. It must have been cool, mate. Such a shame we couldn't get the 3 points, but I hope you enjoyed it, mate. I really do. Must have been a proud little moment for you, mate. Big up. Jonathan says, El Ghazi hasn't worked. We don't need a striker that's scared of 50 challenges up front. He just doesn't press and work hard enough for me, whether it's a fitness thing or not. He just doesn't offer enough off the ball for me. And he hasn't found his rhythm on the ball either. And I just think I'd rather Ruben as a false 9, or I'd rather even Mate up there than El Ghazi, I think, at the moment. Alex says he was late, so he didn't play. I was there. Interesting. Rhys said after the game, he spoke to the ref, and the ref said he thinks he saw it. Says it all about the ref today. Yeah, it was a joke, mate. Didn't even speak to the linesman who kept his flag down. Jonathan says, unfortunately, you're not allowed to speak out about the ref, no matter how bad it is. Hopefully, yeah, because you get a ban or a fine. Hopefully, mate, they appeal it and take the risk of the additional game because we need him. And we definitely, Graham says Kanga will be a legend if he comes in for Robertson against the Jacks. Yeah, it scores. That'll be it. Alex says apparently there's a big new for Cardiff, so it's either we're signing someone or someone's leaving. Someone's leaving, mate. Jonathan says, even if he scores one all season, it's the winner against the Jacks. That would be great. Josh says Reno working hard. Defo has the qualities and the professionalism to be in contention for a new deal as well. Yeah, so my thing with Reno Motors, and like I said earlier, I can kind of make an argument for and against for a lot of them. Callum O'Dowd is the one that stepped up. I guess my thing with a lot of them is it time to move on and rebuild this squad around the young players and some new signings? And then you have to decide which experienced players you want to keep. So as an example, I think Rhys could be a good choice for that. As I said at the start of the show, his attitude and professionalism over the last 18 months is an example to any player, let alone young players, any player at the football club or anywhere else for that matter. I also think maybe you could give Gutas and Rhys, maybe you could give them a year with an option for another year to help them bring in the young players, because I really want Cardiff to focus on the young players they got and bring players in to complement them and get some pace and athleticism in the side, some fucking dynamism is what I say. But it's just my opinion, mate, at the end of the day. Rhys says, I hate to say it, as I've loved him during his time, but if we get decent off cash for Perry NG in January, I wouldn't be too upset to see him move on. You've got Rhys who stepped up, and we've got Kit Pacquiao. Yeah, mate, I thought he was pretty bad today, but he's been out for ages. So Rhys says, I've seen the usual suspects trying to put the blame on the first team results now on Pearce again. They can't kick him. Yeah, mate, what was it, a month ago that everyone was praising him because our defense had improved. Everyone wants a scapegoat, mate, don't they? And it's all opinions, I guess. Alex says, I'm a keeper, I don't like playing out from the back. It's so nerve-wracking. Yeah, my son is the same. Jonathan says, Howworth could be offloaded. Yeah, definitely. Fact Steve says, Dave Jones will be Vincent Tan's puppet. We need someone strong enough to work with Tan, Darwin and Cho. I think he fell out with him a few times, though, didn't he? Where he was trying to get more money and stuff. Martin says the referee had never been in charge at championship level today. Yeah, only 11 EFL games in total. I thought it showed, mate, as well. Thought he was quite poor. Right, guys, we're 1 hour 15. Amazing. Really appreciate all the comments, all the questions. I don't want to harp on about it all, but if you can become a member either in the YouTube channel or on patreon.com/AcePodcastNation, it really helps us out so much. Massive shout out to all the new members who joined over Christmas. Honestly, I can't put into words how much that helps us to do everything which we're doing. Obviously, it's a lot of time, 7 days a week, blah, 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 blah. But I appreciate it. And if you can't do the membership thing or you don't want to, whatever, that's cool. We got loads of members only content coming. We've also got 7 days a week of normal content coming as well. And just please subscribe. It's free. Click the bell for notifications. And we'll be back tomorrow. So tomorrow, 1927 pod. Obviously, normally I do the breakdown pod 24 hours after the game. And the boys, Matt and Rhys, do the post-game show. But my son's going to Norway for 8 months tomorrow night. So obviously we'd like to spend some time with him before he goes. So we switched. But the boys will be back tomorrow night. And then I would imagine they'll be back Saturday night. We have the Flower Hour, which is normally on a Wednesday. We've got 3 videos coming from Terry Phillips. We've got some stuff from Pan, all sorts of stuff. I've got a couple of videos coming. If there is any videos or any players you want a scout report on, any videos that you think we should do, get them in. In terms of, there'll also be a Middlesbrough preview as well. Guys, thank you for the support. Keep on, keep it on, and keep the faith. The Blues are staying up. Maybe.